What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we've got score predictions for this weekend's games for the Championship. We've got Stoke and Blackburn taking place tonight, so pointing that this video is being released on the day of our kickoff, guys, make sure you get your score predictions ASAP so that all of your predictions will count. For the prediction league, it's pretty much up to date. I just got to double check a couple of things because I need to include the midweek 3 games that we had, which weren't really eventful, to be honest. Only 2 goals in those 3 games, so I'm not going to really talk in a lot of detail. We saw a managerial change. Bilic is gone and Chris Wilder is in as Watford manager, Watford's 3rd manager this season, which I'll give you my reaction for as well. But as always, if you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help. 30 likes again is the target. It will be amazing if we can get there. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not done so. It does really help with trying to get to 2,000 subscribers if we can. That would be absolutely amazing if we can get there. And please also share the channel too. All these things as well really do help. But without any further ado, let's start predicting this weekend's games for the Championship. So let's start off with Stoke going up against Blackburn Rovers. So I think this game will be intriguing. So Stoke last weekend, they were brilliant actually against Sunderland. A 5-1 victorious team to get those 5 goals in. Dwight Gale is now starting to get some consistency, finding the ball in the back of the net. Stoke fans probably would have liked him to peak that sort of form earlier on in the season, but I'm glad for him that he has kind of found some confidence back, and we've not really seen a shadow of a former player that we know to bag 30 goals a season, but what we're typically used to in the Championship at least. I mean, he won't get those figures now, but we are now starting to see those characteristics. Blackburn just keep winning games. They've won 4 games in a row and have really given us a real fighting chance to stay in that top 6 at the moment. It's not going to be easy. Of course, we've still got a lot of games left in the season. Blackburn have got a somewhat okayish run in. They've got some tough games coming up. And it's what's important for them now is, you know, with the winnable games, which I see as a winnable game for Blackburn, they've really got to try and capitalise on this. Stoke have been alternating with winning and a loss in their last 6 games, so for the fact that they won their last game, it makes sense for them to then suddenly just drop a clanger and get a defeat here. Blackburn's away form, however, not being as strong as their home form, so I'm a bit reluctant to back Blackburn here, but they have had some really good performances. Rankin Costello especially, I've been really impressed by. Dolan I've been impressed by. As a score prediction for this game, I think it's going to be very, very close. I think we could see a little bit of a back and forth in terms of attacks and potential goals going in. But I'm actually going to edge the informed team Blackburn for something in this game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to the away side. And that will give them a really, really good chance actually for sustaining their strength and momentum into that top 6. But let me know what you think about, guys, in the comments down below. Next game today is Bristol City versus Blackpool. I am also interested to see how this game will go out. Bristol City were one of the very few teams to play in midweek who played against Huddersfield. They were away from home and they managed to get a 0-0 draw, although they did have some really big chances that they missed in that one. Definitely could have picked up all 3 points when they had the chance. In fact, that game in general was actually quite an open game, so it was actually quite a good back and forth game between these 2 sides. Both sides had their chances to pick up 3 points at the end of it as well. So in the end, maybe a draw would have seemed a bit fair. Definitely not helpful for Huddersfield's part. But for Bristol City right now, their expectation is kind of, you know, being a little bit on hold really, because I think at the moment, whilst, as I said in my previous game that I predicted that we've got plenty of games left, you know, it's very difficult to see teams chasing in Bristol City's position, which is around mid-table, to get them into like a top 6 place. It's going to be very, very tricky, and they've got to really make sure they reignite that positive form that they had, because they have stuttered a little bit, winless in their last 2 games. They face a Blackpool team where they put in a brave performance against Burnley, top of the league by a long, long way, sustaining them to a 0-0 draw. Definitely frustrating game for Burnley's part, and Blackpool taking the point. But at the moment now, I fear for their safety. They're 6 points off safety right now. Cardiff and Rotherham just seem to keep winning their games. So right now, I just think it's going to be very difficult for Blackpool to survive if they don't start winning now. And with this game, I think Bristol City, for me, seem the more equipped and prepared team for this. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Bristol City. Let me know what you think of that prediction, and make sure you guys predict your games in the comments down below, so you guys have a chance to enter the Lexalexus Football Prediction League and score some points. Next game to predict is Birmingham versus Rotherham. So the way that I look at this is actually quite an important game near the bottom of the table. If any team picks up all 3 points here, it really puts the other relegation rival in a little bit of jeopardy. But I've been saying, if I were to say this game a couple of weeks ago, I would say, Birmingham got the upper hand here with their good form, and Rotherham kind of teetering above the bottom 3 a little bit. But right now, I have to say, I think it's Rotherham that will have the upper hand in this game right now. They've won 2 games in their last 3, and they have really started to get some consistency. They've hit the 40-point mark already this season, Rotherham. So I can only see things getting stronger and better for them. But the less can be said about Birmingham, unfortunately. They are really struggling with their form. They had a losing streak, which they did manage to end with a draw against Wigan last weekend. But it is who were at the time bottom of the league, Wigan Athletic, that had an away draw there. They did have a lead, and they just couldn't find a way to hold that lead on. So I'm a bit worried of this Birmingham team at the moment. They just don't really seem to have that it factor that they had to take games over the line, and it just proves to be quite inconsistent with their attack especially. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, I think. I can't really edge either one of these teams, to be honest. Rotherham could easily pick up a win here, but Rotherham on the road have not been great. So I'll compromise and go for a 1-1 draw, which will really do either team, no favours at all. It will kind of keep them in the same place. But let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Burnley versus Wigan. So definitely opposite sides of the championship table. Burnley kind of running away with it at the moment, but right now I think Burnley's record-breaking points tally is in jeopardy a little bit. So right now Burnley are in a position where they've got 77 points with 11 games left. So the maximum points that they are able to take from that is 110 points. The record is 106. So right now, 2 draws will already see Burnley not beat Rennie's record, but match it. But a defeat for Burnley here means that they cannot drop a single point elsewhere if they want to keep that record. So it shows you how tricky it is to be as consistent as that incredible Reading team were all the way back in 2005 and 2006. So I really do think it's going to be interesting for Burnley, especially if they do have aspirations to go for it. Something tells me that some do, but then I would have thought a bit more urgency against Blackpool if they did have that urgency about it to get that record. I do think with them still in the FA Cup and having these midweek games there, I think it's definitely stretching this team a bit. There are a couple of injuries in key positions, but Burnley's squad depth in general has got the best in quality, so I think they are coping quite well with it. They face a Wigan team where we did give them a little bit of a good start with Sean Maloney coming in, but then they've only picked up 1 win since he's come in. He's had a good amount of games as manager now, and Wigan are just not climbing out of that bottom 3 and are not looking effective to do it. They're looking a bit cut adrift at the moment. Another team that played in midweek lost out to West Brom by 1-0. Probably had one spell, but apart from that, really, really shoddy. So as a prediction here, I think Burnley will win, but I don't think it'll be as clear-cut as it has been. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. I think Wigan will intentionally try and frustrate Burnley, but I think Burnley will be able to get something out of this game, especially with that Turf Moor dominance. So I'm going to go 2-0 Burnley. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Coventry versus Hull City. So this is an interesting one as well, because both these teams were actually quite close to each other in the table, a couple of weeks ago. But what we saw was, in around that time, Hull really having a great run of form and then Coventry struggling. But then it goes full circle. Coventry really picking up their form now. Hull stuttering a little bit, but Hull are not falling off a cliff. That would be QPR and Birmingham levels of poor form. They've not really done that. Hull have been able to stack up, the good win now and again. They won against West Brom, in their last championship game. So they do still have good performances within them there. I think it's just their away form, which I'm not really backing at the moment. Coventry have started to get a bit more consistency with their goal scoring. So, funny that, more goals you score, the more likely you're going to score some points. And they really have started to find the ball in the back of the net a little bit more. They put 4 past Huddersfield, for instance, there. So, I could definitely see that giving them a bit of an edge in this game. As a prediction, I'm going to go for another Coventry win. Despite having the injuries that they have, I think they still will find a way around it. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Coventry in this game. I think there'll be a lot of goals. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Preston Cardiff. So from a game that I think will have a lot of goals, I do not think we'll have a lot of goals, to be honest. So Preston in general at home have been pretty bad. I've really got to be honest. They really have not been great at home at all. Definitely not really doing their home crowd any favours with that. For one positive, I'll give Preston though, recently at least, they've stayed unbeaten for 5 games now, although one of those games was a win, so the other 4 games were draws. So they're not really climbing up the table that efficiently. But as with Cardiff, they are still within 23rd, but the amount of points they've managed to achieve quite recently is quite astounding. And I've really got to praise the work that Sabri Namucci has done in that short space of time. 3 wins in Cardiff for 4 matches. That is brilliant for Cardiff, because right now that's giving them a 6-point gap. They've already got a head start from the supposed relegation battle that we could have this year. So as long as Cardiff actually do win a good couple of the last couple of games left, I think Cardiff will be fine. I think for points this year, if you can get to 45 or maybe even 43, I think you can survive with that. So I don't think Cardiff are far away actually from getting enough to survive. As a prediction, I actually think with Cardiff picking up a few more consistent wins recently, I think they'll pick another one here. I think it'll be tight though. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory. Not many goals, tempting 0-0, but I think Cardiff might score from a set piece somewhere. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is QPR versus Watford. So interesting enough, QPR just still not winning games with Gareth Ainsworth, taking over. We're getting the same old result, which is seeing QPR fall as far down as 20th place, which is quite unbelievable considering where they were. It just all went wrong when Rangers came calling from Scotland to take Mick Bill away. That's really what went wrong in QPR season, and since then they've really been plummeting off a cliff. They face a Watford team where they've gone through a bit of transition this week. Got rid of Bilic. I think he had 25 games with Watford, but correct me if I'm wrong. And the points per game was slightly better than Edwards, but it wasn't enough to the owner's satisfaction. Watford find themselves outside of the top 6 by quite a number of points as well. So they're hoping for Chris Wilder, who's got a contract to the end of the season, which seems to be the new thing now these days, to hire managers to the end of the season with only like a couple of months left on their contract. So very interesting development in terms of a contract point of view, especially with managers. But having said that, Chris Wilder's got, I think, a pretty heavy job on his hands, because I think Bilic, what he really struggled with was a lack of backing in the January window, but also with the amount of injuries that Watford team has had, I think it's been very difficult for Bilic, to be honest. I think Watford will start in winning ways, naturally with a managerial bounce. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Watford. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Reading versus Millwall. This game I think is quite tricky to predict actually. Reading right now have really started to struggle with their form, obviously since they've had the news of their potential points deduction and potentially, not really being too sure how many points they will be deducted. They've not really picked up a point at all. In fact, I think they've only picked up 1 win since they actually found that news as well. So right now, Reading got to be slightly careful. I think they'll feel a bit lucky with them right now, but they've got a bit of a gap. I think they've currently got a 10-point gap from the bottom 3 as it stands. But let's say in hindsight they get a 12-point deduction. That really puts them in deep peril, really, to be honest. So I think at the moment, what I'm seeing with this Reading team, I think just as long as they can continue and just get some wins in now and then, because with 11 games left, I think right now, we're just going to assume if they are going to receive a points deduction, it's going to be 6. And at the moment, that will definitely make them safe at the moment. But right now, they can't have that fear of being dragged into it, because naturally with that, their performances are going to be a lot more frantic and unpredictable, really. Millwall typically have been a team that you cannot predict either, and Millwall had a poor defeat against Norwich. They did well in the first part of the game. They had a bit of an unlucky set of circumstances for when Norwich took the lead, but Millwall just took a bit too long to try and respond when Norwich went 2 goals up against them. It ended 3-2 in the end, so it was a great game for the neutral, but it's a rare home defeat for Millwall, and they really want to try and back and get something here and bounce back. Otherwise, if they go through a streak where they don't win games, it will definitely damage their chances of getting to the top 6 here. As a prediction, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Reason being, Reading good at home. Millwall, I think, will be naturally better in this game as well. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see any team having the edge in this one. If they do, it'll be like a 1-goal edge, but I'm not brave enough to predict either one of them to have an edge. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game today is Sheffield United versus Luton Town. This is like our top of the table clash of this weekend. So we've got Sheffield United currently in second place. They were one of the few teams that won in their midweek game. They recently beat Reading, as I previously just talked about, 1-0. Very cagey, not convincing again, but they're still doing enough to get wins. They face a Luton Town team where their form's been decent this season. I really got to be honest. I think they've actually lost the second less games, and in fact, they're joint with Sheffield United for being the two teams that have actually lost the second less games. Only Burnley have lost less games than both Sheffield United and Luton Town, which is an interesting stat for you there. I think for prediction this game, I think with it being in Bramall Lane, you'd expect Sheffield United to get something here, but I think Luton will go into this game trying to shut Sheffield United out. And I think as a prediction, I think it's actually going to be a stale 0-0 draw. Both of these teams, even when they've been winning games, it's only been like 1-0 wins there. And I have a feeling that both teams will be so determined not to lose, it'll end as a 0-0 draw. I could be wrong, but that's what I think may happen in this game. But let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is going to be Swansea versus Middlesbrough. So Swansea struggling with their form a little bit. They just don't seem to be picking up any wins anytime soon. Middlesbrough coming back with their biggest win of the season so far, the biggest home win out of any team in the championships this season, at least, with a 5-0 victory over Reading. I think they'll go to this game feeling with a lot of confidence. Swansea at the moment not receiving that same level of confidence at all. Defensively not looking great. I just think they're looking a little bit all over the place, especially when trying to compete teams, with pace going forward there. I think Middlesbrough will have a field day with them. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory to Middlesbrough with the sheer firepower and then determined to chase down Sheffield United. So I'm going to go 3-1 Middlesbrough. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is West Brom versus Huddersfield. I think this is actually going to be a low-scoring game. What we've seen with West Brom, they've not been as good as they have been since Corberán took over, but they're still churning the odd result. They did lose in their last game, quite disappointingly, but in midweek, they responded very, very well by beating Wigan by 1-0. I've already mentioned how poor Wigan were, but West Brom ultimately needed to get 1 goal over the line. It was a pretty scrappy goal for what the manner was with this goal. But regardless, a goal and a win is a win for West Brom. And it also came at a crucial time because they started losing distance with the top 6. Win this game with a couple of teams at the top potentially dropping points, then their chances will look much better going into this. Huddersfield really need to pick up some wins right now. They picked up a draw when they played in midweek against Bristol City, as I said. Both teams having good, strong chances to get something out of this. I think with this one, Neil Warnock will set this Huddersfield team really defensive-minded. And we've already started to see Huddersfield being a bit more direct with their style of plays, which we're seeing the Neil Warnock effect taking place already. As a prediction, though, I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to West Brom. I don't think we'll see many goals in this one. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. The final game to predict, guys, is Norwich going up against Sunderland. Now, this I am excited to predict. Norwich look like they've turned a slight corner a little bit to their season there. Looking a little bit more consistent when they are managing to find the ball in the back of the net. And because of that, they're starting to score more goals. Hence, they're starting to score more points and more wins on the board. And it has seen Norwich creep back into the top 6, just narrowly ahead of Millwall there. But if they do lose to Sunderland, which you could still say could be a playoff rival, but with 3 defeats in a row for Sunderland and really struggling for goals right now, this is like the really big period for me that they are really being hit hard with a lack of Ross Stewart and competent attacking players here. So I think for me, with a really highly attacking Norwich team, with a really lacking of attacking Sunderland team, it's going to be one-way traffic and a bit of a disaster for me. As a prediction, I think both teams will concede goals because I don't back Norwich's defence. I actually would prefer Sunderland's defence. But following Norwich's good attacking players, I'm going to edge them. But for a 3-1 victory, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game with Norwich having the upper hand. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, that is my predictions done for this weekend. As always, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below so you guys have a chance to enter the Lexalexus Football Prediction League as it's slowly but surely starting to come to its conclusion. Thank you guys for taking part on this competition and just being involved in this channel as well. You guys really do make the channel tick and really keep it alive. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you've not done so. It really does help. Please do hit that subscribe button. It really does help as well. My socials are down there in case you want to follow me as well. And now wrapping up, that's all I have to say. Get predicting, guys, and have some fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. It's only in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.